Recording live. All right, everybody, I want to say hi and thanks so much for joining Alexis, Nick, and myself in the Youngpreneur Webinar. We want to, first of all, check our sound and make sure that the sound is coming in clear, that you're also able to see us. We're playing around with the lighting just to make sure that you can see all of us. So, all right, Kay, yay, from California, you can see me. Can you hear as well? Now, if Nikki says hi and Alexa says hi, can you hear them as well?
Hello. Hello.
Good. Okay, I want to make sure that you guys can hear us and that maybe we don't need to speak a little bit louder or whatever, because we want to make sure that everybody can hear us. You know, do the same on your end, increasing the volume wherever you are, whatever device you're using, whether it's an iPad or an iPhone or even your computer. Make sure that that is up the highest as possible as well to make sure that you're getting a good sound. All right, see you. Mine says, please stand by. Okay, so this is going to have about a minute or so delay. Therefore, don't be afraid. Like when I may say something, like I'm actually live saying something, you get it about a minute later just because there's that delay. So awesome. All right, everybody is beginning to say, yes, we can see you and hear you. That's great. Now, because we're doing this in a very relaxed way, and we know that a lot of you have your young children with you. I mean, you might have like a 7-year-old with you who's maybe trying to sell your cat to the neighbor. Or maybe you have a teenage son or a teenage daughter that's maybe 12 or 13 or 14 years old, and they're wanting to really learn about business as well. We're going to make this very conversational, like very relaxed, very laid back, if you could say that. And I'm going to have some notes. Like normally I would do a webinar where I do a PowerPoint presentation, but I'm not going to do that this time. I wanted to make it very casual, like very conversational, very interactive. And this allows me to see the chat box so that we can engage with you a little bit more. If your kids have questions, then they can ask questions as well. Now, what I'd recommend is that you would definitely have a piece of paper, because I am going to have a lot of points that I want to share with you. First, I'm going to be addressing the parents, and then we're going to interact with Nikki and Alexis. And so it's going to be a great idea, because I don't have this PowerPoint presentation, that you would be able to write these points down, okay? So now, as I'm saying that, I'm thinking that instead of addressing the parents first so that it continues to be interactive, I'm going to use each one of my points here and then have Nick and Alexis contribute to what we're saying. So thanks so much for being here. I want to formally introduce myself. My name is Shirley Solis. I've been married to Gus for 21 years, and I have 6 children. We have 6 children, and their ages 19 to 5. We have 4 boys and 2 girls, and Nick is 17 years old. Alexis is 15. And they've been entrepreneurs because some of you may know us from the homeschooling community, and we own a bookstore in the homeschooling community. It's called Lifetime Books and Gifts. And we bought that company when Alexis was 7 and Nikki was 8 and Gus Jr. was 10. So these children grew up in a family business. And the truth is that without their help, we would have never, like Gus and I would have never been able to do what we did, which was set up 400 square feet of book space and sell for 2 days with tons of customers. Like we would generate anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000 to $30,000 in 2 or 3 days. So it was intense. And these little guys right here, well, they're not so little anymore. Like they would sit in their cash register, feet dangling in the air, helping people purchase their books. So we've definitely been involved in a family business. We've enjoyed it a lot. And our passion is to find and to encourage other families to do the same. And the reason why we're here today with this Youngpreneur webinar was because we found that there's a lot of children who are really interested in this idea of making money. So I wanted to involve these boys who have done really well with selling marshmallow guns all the way to having online businesses with eBay. and they've generated at one point like $600 a month, which for their age at 14 at that time was a lot of money. And so we want to share those things with you. All right. The question is, can I view this on my phone? Yes, you absolutely could. And even if you're driving, you can just, click, because this system that we're using is through YouTube. So if you're driving and you want to just, click on the video, and you could just set it down. If you're not able to watch it, obviously, then you can definitely hear it at the very least. Okay. So that's what's really cool about the system that we're using. All right. So is there anything that you want to start off by saying to the people?
I just wanted to thank you all for coming here, and it's going to be worth your time.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes, for sure. It's going to be worth your time.
Just keep an open mind and see what you can learn from us. I'm sure you can learn a lot.
Okay, that's great. Awesome. Yeah, I'm sure hoping that you could learn a lot. All right. So my story and Gus's story particularly is that we were very entrepreneurial. Like I said, we've been married for 21 years. And from day one, I remember, I don't know if you guys know this. I think maybe we did tell you one time, but we were hearing something in the radio that was like, oh, business seminar. I mean, we had been married for a couple of months only, and we heard this business seminar that was at a hotel. And we ran, like we signed up and we showed up at the place, and they were telling us how we can buy houses for very cheap. And their program was only going to cost $500, and they only had 5 available or something like that. And Gus and I ran to the back of the room, and we purchased the program, and we were just like, we've been in real estate. We've had pony parties. We've bought horses to be able to do pony parties. We've also had, our business Lifetime Books and Gifts. We enrolled in a multi-level marketing for many years. So we've had a lot of different businesses that we've been involved in. And so I knew that for sure we were an entrepreneurial family. Like, we just like business. We like marketing. We like sharing about business and learning about it. So with that in mind, I want to tell you that one of the very first things that I thought was really important for parents to know with their children is that it's so important to start early. Because when you start early, it takes the taboo out of business. So now is a good time to describe to your kids what taboo is. So new vocabulary word. But it does. It takes the taboo out of things. So tell me, Nick, what do you think it was like being in business? Was it scary? Because sometimes for adults, it could be scary to have your own business when you're young. I mean, like when you're a grown up, it's already scary. But because we started you guys in business so young, how do you think it helped you to not be scared? Or were you scared?
I don't really think it was that scary being in business at the time, since I had never really experienced failure yet. Then every single thing I did was a success to me, since that's the way I saw it. Like, let's say I'd only sell a little bit instead of as much as, let's say I only sell $10 instead of $50 at the time. Then to me, it was a success because at least I sold something. It may not be a lot of money, but at least I sold something.
I love that. That is great. He's encouraging me. All right.
I think starting your business at a young age was really good. For what was it again? My bad.
What?
The question.
Oh, the question. This is live, people.
Okay.
Okay. So the question is, like, my first point is that we should start children off early because it takes the taboo out of it. And, as grown-ups, we are scared to have your own business. Like, you already need to have a job and feed your family and all that. So, but for you guys, I don't think it was scary, or maybe it was. Like, can you tell me what you thought?
It wasn't scary at all when I was little, just because, you, like he said, you didn't really have much fear as a little kid, in that case. You just go out and do it, and if you sell $10, you're like, woo, I sold $10. Now I can go buy the bag of gummy bears that I want or whatever. And you weren't focused on the negative as a little kid. You were more focused on the positive, and that really helped me when I was small. Just because as I get older, you could learn that rather than learning it at 20 years old or whenever you want to have a business of your own. You could learn it at a young age when you had no fear. So then by the time I'm here now not really any business that I'm gonna have is gonna have fear, because that was already eliminated back when I was little.
That is wild. I swear, people, they got here like at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, and we were rushing, so there was no way to prepare for this long term. Like, we just said, okay, guys, I'm gonna ask you and speak from your heart. So what you're getting is a lot of truth and a lot of wisdom from these young guys, which basically speaks for itself. And that, you know, that is basically, that's amazing that they would have those lessons, and that I would get to experience that as a mom, just from knowing that, from them having marshmallow guns. Like, tell us a little bit of like all of the different businesses that you've had. I mean, they've obviously worked in our family business with working the cash register, pricing books, but prior to, I mean, after that, you guys figured out that you wanted to make your own money. So tell us about what that was like, in what kind of businesses you guys had. I mean, I know, but I want you to tell them.
We've had a lot of different types of businesses. I'm going to say a couple of them, and I'll let him say the rest. For me personally, I've sold marshmallow guns. We've sold on eBay. We've had garage sales, and
Garage sales.
He's had a couple of his personal own also. Most of them we've been like business partners, since we're so close in age. We help each other out and all that stuff, like with the garage sales and eBay. We'd share ideas and everything. But personally, I had marshmallow guns, and then you had...
I started, when I first started the business, I sold just toys and whatever else. I would go online and buy toys wholesale. For those of you that don't know what wholesale is, it's just you buy a big quantity of product for a cheaper price. So I would buy my toys or whatever wholesale, and then I would go back and sell it in our family business. And then from there, I went and I sold foam swords. And those were just PVC with a little bit of foam, so you could play with your brothers and sisters. From there, I know we sold eggs as a family. Like, we had our chickens, that we had like 50 chickens that would lay eggs, and we would sell those. I also, let me see. Oh, and then from there.
Oh, you took care of dogs too.
Oh yeah,
that might have been his least favorite job.
Yeah, I dog sat. I sold paracord bracelets, just bracelets made out of the rope that's in parachutes. And I would make bull whips also. Bull whips, just the whips that cowboys would use for the bulls and whatever.
Snacks and candy.
Yeah. Oh, I would sell snacks and candies in the off season when I was home. I would sell it to my friends and stuff in church. I know there's more, but I can't.
So as you can see, they've sold a bunch of stuff.
We sold honey as a family.
Oh yeah, we sold honey. Yeah, we sold honey because what we do is we buy our honey in large quantities, raw honey, and then we would, my husband would bottle it up into bottles, and then the boys were in charge of selling it to our friends. And so one of the things that we've learned is that business and a family business helps you come together as one. What would you say about that? Like, because, you know, the business might have been yours, but still we contribute to it with ideas, and it's like we're encouraging you and you're encouraging us. So it's pretty mutual. Like, I really think it brings the family together.
Well, I remember back when him and I, like he said, we were really business partners in a lot of things.
Business partners.
So when one of us would have an idea of our own, and we would have that separate, and we would sell that in the conferences and stuff, it would really test us, I guess you could say, because maybe I'll sell something and I'll end up making $100 in a day, and he'll only sell a couple of things, so he'll make $20. You know, that would bring him and I closer, I guess you could say, because you know, because it's like you just let go of that conflict of like jealousy, I guess, and you just, I'm happy for him that he made that much money. You know, even though I didn't make that much money, I'm still happy that he made that much money, you know, and it was always back and forth. And then it just helped us. I know that helped us in our relationship now, because, you know, there's not jealousy or envy over each other for whatever reason.
Yeah. So I wanted to also say that there are definitely ways that, for instance, so the honey business was not to make money. Necessarily for us as parents, but it definitely paid for our honey, and then it gave them a way to make money. So there's always ideas that you can come up with. Another thing that I think is a really important point is allowing children to observe business at work. So even prior to us having a business, to me, it was important to give the children a business mindset by pointing out the different careers. Like if we go to a doctor, letting them know how that office was set up, or the fact that they had an office manager, or how much, educating them about how much money a doctor could make, or noticing the firefighter, like just pointing out the different careers and that people were in business. And then when we owned our family business, we would go into the bookstores like Barnes and Nobles and other bookstores, and I would have them notice like how the store was marketing them. And you may not know a lot about marketing, like my degree is actually in marketing and international business, but with some common sense. Oh, hold on. I think the webinar's frozen. Hold on. Hello?
Yeah, they're saying we lost you.
Hello? Yeah. Is it working? Is this, the webinar is working? Can you see me? No, we're doing it. Okay. Oh, that's okay. I thought you were calling me because something was happening with the webinar.
Oh, just say we're back.
Okay. Okay, I'll call you later. Okay, love you. Bye. Bye. All right, sorry about that. There's this friend who I thought was literally calling me because we had gotten some information here that the webinar had frozen. So I thought she was letting me know that, but nope, it wasn't. So I'm sorry about that. I promise nobody else should call for this. So what I was saying is, what was I saying?
Allowing them to see business.
Yeah, allowing them to see business. So I was saying that even though you may not have a marketing background, you can still begin to pay attention and just think, how are businesses marketing to me? So if you go to, if you're reading a magazine, what colors are they using? What words are they using? If you go into a store, and like specifically during the holidays is a great time, well, actually all throughout the year with all these special holidays that we keep having, like, you know, right after Christmas, it'll be Valentine's, and then it'll be Easter, and then it'll be Mother's Day, and then it'll be summer, and you know, there's all of these holidays throughout the year, and we can go into a store as simple as Walmart and look at what it is that they're doing, like what colors are they using, what words, what images, what props, and that would be something that I used to teach the children to look at. Do you notice that that helped you? Or
yeah, absolutely, because it would teach you just, you know, when Easter they market everything to be around the bunny and the eggs and stuff like that, you know, and then that makes people want to buy it. Because even candy companies like Starburst will change their candy, and it'll be the same flavor, same everything. All they'll do is they'll change the shape into a bunny, you know, and it's limited time, so you better get it now. So the people are like, oh my God, it's Bunny Starburst. We got to get it now because then it's gone in 1 month. So then that boosts their sales by like a bunch. I don't know how much in statistics or whatever.
right.
But
yeah. And what about you? Like, do you think it helped to?
I think it definitely did help, like, because I know there's a science behind colors and everything, the things that we use. So I think the businesses have their certain colors for the certain things. Like, let's say a bank will use the color green, and green everyone recognizes as go. So it's just like the different ways people market things definitely helps.
Yeah. And it's simple. I mean, like I said, it's just walking into a store and letting children be aware of how they're being sold and marketed to. Also, I know that another point, the third point that I have here, is that working with money at an early age allows them to feel confident with handling the money. Okay, let me address. Somebody says, I was able to see and hear you. Now I keep getting an error message. Okay. If you at any moment experience a little bit of trouble with watching it, let me give you another link that is going to be directly on YouTube that you can go there. All right, so there I just put I just put a link that's going to take you directly to YouTube. And that should be a more direct stream if you're having any kind of error or delay of some kind in the video. Okay, so I apologize for that. Normally we don't have any problems. It may be just where you are and your internet connection, etc. So I'm sorry about that. But okay, so I was saying that for children to work at an early age allows them to feel confident with the handling of money. So I also find that they get to value it more. And we discussed this a little bit in the sessions that we were doing on the video blogging. We talked about how confident they got over using money, over handling money, over knowing that if they wanted to buy popcorn, well, popcorn was $3 or $4, so that how many toys would it take them to sell to be able to buy that? But in your own experience, how has it helped you today to be able to handle money positively and negatively, if any at all?
Like, what do you mean, though?
Yeah, like how do you handle money today that is maybe different from the way other people your age handle money, that you know is clearly because you had your own business at one point?
I think I handle my money differently. I would save more so that I can invest in different things later, so that I can, let's say I'd make $100 in a day from my business, then I would save some of that so that I can invest in my business later on and I can make even more and more money. You just think about money differently. You think about it differently. It's like how would you say it? It's like you invest in different things, you know?
Yeah. And what about you?
Yeah, to go off that a little bit, you start thinking about the money, like instead of it being how many bags of popcorn can I buy, it starts being like, what else can I buy with this $100 to kind of make me make more money, you know? So I would be like, it was no longer about the popcorn. It was more like, okay, with this $100, if I invest it into more toys, then I could sell twice as much and I could come out making $300, you know?
That's
So
huge. That's awesome.
So you think about that. I thought about that at an early age, so I didn't really have to go through it now. So now I'm already into all that, you know? And a lot of people also, they go through a stage. I think everybody goes through a stage when you first get a job at the age of 15 or 16. You kind of go through like a spending spree where you just spend your money because you don't really value it that much, you know? So instead of having to go through that when I actually have stuff to pay for, I have bills, and I have to help out with the family at the age of 15. I went through that at the age of 7 and 9, you know? So at that point, it didn't matter. I didn't have like stuff to pay for. I didn't have to provide for my family. I was just, oh, okay, whatever, spend the spree or spend, you know, my dad used to tell me I have a hole in my pocket, you know? So I just went through that when I was younger compared to now when I actually have stuff to use my money towards. So
Right.
that was a big thing for me.
I love that. That's a great point. Now, and the other thing that I've noticed as a mom is that because they value money, they weren't like the majority of children we see today that are always asking for the latest gadget or the latest fad in clothing, because they value it and they know how much it takes us to work to produce it. And of course, you know, we're a large family, so to ask for it, even if we could afford it, they were definitely more conscientious about asking for things. Like, in fact, I think pretty much after like 10 years old, we stopped paying for their things. I mean, obviously food and basic clothing, but sometimes if they wanted to buy, what was the airsoft guns? Airsoft guns, that the nice ones would cost over $100, $150. We never bought those. They did with their money. If they wanted to buy any electronics, they usually bought it or worked for it. Like, we didn't provide for that. So it definitely helps. And for those of you that are asking, yes, the webinar is being recorded. You will be able to get a link, a replay link afterwards. I've gotten some questions that I think it's good to address right now. And it's, who funded the boys' initial inventory? Initially, we did. So we had them do some sort of a job and said, okay, if you do these additional jobs, like chores were always required, are still always required in our house, no matter how old you are. Like even our 19-year-old, even though he's going to college and he has a job, he's still required to do chores at our house because everybody has to contribute. Like I work full-time here at home with our business. My husband works full-time with our business. So we always have ways to, we would always, you know, have to contribute to the house, but we would find additional jobs that they could do that we would pay them, and then through that money, that was their initial investment. How do they process transactions was another question that we asked, that was asked. They wouldn't necessarily process transactions in cash because the amount of money that people were paying was very inexpensive, like dollars, you know, no more than $10. When he did dog sitting, that was, I think, was the only time where the person paid me on PayPal and then I gave him the money. And when they eventually had their eBay businesses, you guys had a PayPal account? Or, yeah.
We made ourselves bank account. Oh, she helped us make bank accounts.
Yes, I opened a bank account. Was it a checking? I can't remember.
It was both.
It was,
you have a checking and a savings.
Right. So there's a checking and a savings that I think when you were 14,
Yeah.
we went and we opened, and then we associated those to a PayPal account, and that's how they were able to get their eBay money. So we do have to say that in order to have an eBay account, you must be 18?
18 or over.
18 or over. So you as an adult, you are the parent, you have to open the account, and then they can use it. But you have to be, eBay is so incredibly strict that you have to make sure that if there's any messages that come in, that you read them, and you know they'll be talking a little bit more about it. Did they have to do? Yeah, they had their own bank accounts and tax IDs. They didn't do tax IDs, I believe. I'm not an accountant. There's a lady by the name of Carol. Oh gosh, she's a CPA and really works with homeschoolers. Maybe I can have her on another day, but I think under $500, they can make money without paying taxes. Don't quote me on that. But because so much of the money came in, you know, when we had our business through Lifetime, then we just processed it through that. And then, you know, like we took the income and then they would, we would pay them their money, but it was all cash based. But they haven't had to do, like my oldest son did 1 year have to do income taxes because I know he made more than the $600. But as far as they are, they haven't had to because of their age and the amount of money that they've made total separately. You know, like, yes, they might have made $600 in 1 month on eBay, but, you know, they had to split it up. So then when you add that, they didn't have to. And then we've just, anything that we've needed to, we've kind of been their umbrella as parents. So it has helped that Gus and I do have, obviously, our tax IDs. The next question that we got is, how early can you start? Well, you were 7 and you were 8.
Yeah.
And do you think that was, I don't think that was too young. I mean, if they're ready, then definitely get them started. There was another question here. How would you price a business like dog walking for a 9-year-old? Let's answer that before we continue.
I think it depends on like the size. Since she's 9 years old, I think it depends on 8 years old. I think it depends on the size of the dog and the type of the dog, like how difficult it's going to be. And I think the dogs that you took care of, they were like kind of like really spoiled, like the guy spoiled them. So I think it all depends on different stuff. But I would say make a minimum guarantee, like how much he's going to pay first.
Yeah.
And like we didn't really have to like walk them with a leash since we have a large yard. We just let them go outside and it's fenced off, so it was all safe. So it depends on different stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like if you need to walk them, if you're in a neighborhood, sometimes you need to clean up after them when they go to the bathroom. So it depends on a couple of things.
And I would say when you're young, though, you have to almost not take anything that they give you, but I think you have to advertise yourself. Like just say, okay, we're willing to do dog sitting. And then if somebody's going out of town and they have, they're willing to pay you, let's say $200 well, let's say $100, like it would cost them $300 for the week to, there's our dog. If anybody wants to like babysit him full time, that'd be great. We'll ship him off to you. But if anybody, like if somebody's going to board him for $300 and then your child is willing to take half of that, well, it's a win-win situation in all ways, you know. Sorry. It's a win-win situation for the person that has the dogs, and it's a win-win situation for the person that has, for the child. So that works, you know, real well. And then I think for particularly dog sitting, you have to think of, as a parent, you don't want to be too inconvenienced, because if you have to be driving the child and you have multiple children and you're going to be exhausted because now you're driving the child, then you're eventually going to get upset because you're doing something that you're not getting anything in return. So I would try to keep it as simple as possible. Like if it's your neighbor, or if it's not too much of an inconvenience to have the dog in your house, or if you live in an apartment building like one of our friends does, and he's old enough to go upstairs, pick up the dog, take him out for a walk and come back, you know, you have to kind of think about all of those things, but we can talk about that in more detail. All right, the next point that I want to address is work with their strengths. One of the things that I noticed about them too is that he wanted to just sell the toys and not quite build them. He just wanted to sell toys that were already done. Like he did have his season of marshmallow guns, but you would rather buy them and sell the toys. Whereas he, even though he found he knew that he could buy toys that were already made, you still continued to do the foam swords and the marshmallow guns, because as a personality, Alexis likes to work with his hands. So I think it's really important to encourage the child to work with their strengths. What do you think?
I think that's true. When it comes to what you're best at, I think it's easier overall. Then you don't get frustrated. Like since he liked doing things that were hands-on, he wouldn't get as frustrated building the things. As for me, my fingers would get tired. I'd get tired. I'd have to take more breaks or something like that. I think it definitely helps to stick with your gifts. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And then especially when it's something that you like doing, you know, it's not working. It's more like playing. You're like, to me, it was just, I would just play around and I would put the things together and I would have fun doing it. You know, I would be outside for hours, and to most people that's work, but to me it was fun, you know?
Yeah.
I'd rather do that than sit inside playing video games or something like that. That's just me. There's some people that would rather do something else, but to me, I like putting the pieces together and then seeing how it comes out. So to me, it wasn't working. It was playing, and then I would make money for playing, you know?
Yeah. And then also, like, when we moved to eBay, I was way better at computers and stuff like that than he was. So then I would do all the computer things. I would create the PayPal accounts. I'd figure out how to do all that. And then we'd work together, and he would ask me a question since I already knew how to do it. Like, he doesn't like to sit in front of a computer for a long time when I could handle that. So it's just like we'd work on our certain gifts, what we were best at.
Yeah.
And that's important because, gosh, for someone that owns her own business, I know that at one point of having your own business, you kind of have to do a lot of different things, even those things that you're not good at. But if at a young age you can teach these ideas, these concepts, these principles, that a child should begin to figure out what are they good at. I mean, we obviously sometimes meet people who are older, like maybe even you as a parent are sitting here watching this webinar and you're like, well, I'm not sure what I'm good at, you know? And just think of how helpful this is for a child to start their own business and to start identifying, like for him to say, okay, I was building toys, but I didn't enjoy it. And, you know, I was building toys and I liked it. So I like to work with my hands. So just noticing those things about yourself alleviates, it removes a lot of the time that you would involve investing if you did otherwise. The next point I wanted to talk about is that you have to establish good work ethics by properly training in chores. Like even before we had our family business, I made it a point of using the chores at home to teach them good work ethics. Like you make sure that you were detailed with your work, making sure that you were diligent, that you were persistent, that you had a level of excellence obviously based on their age. And so somebody says, apologies, I had to step out of the room. My son posted. That's so cute. Okay, no problem. That's where we're here for. So like I was saying, there's definitely, you have to understand that doing the chores at home is a great way to get them prepared for their own business. Now, for those children that are watching, for those teens that are watching, I would definitely, as a mom and as your friend, encourage you to always do your chores first before you're going to start your own business. Like, I know that as a mom, I would have not let them have their own business if they couldn't take care of their basic chores first. Because what you demonstrate in your business is what is gonna, you're gonna use the strong character qualities in your business. Like, you're gonna show diligence and persistence and perseverance and excellence and honesty in your business. So those are good qualities to have, but you need to learn them in a job that's not paid by doing your chores at home. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
Right? They better. So someone mentioned, I'm uncomfortable with a lot of sales tactics. I was raised not selling anything, including fundraisers for school and such, because my mom didn't want us imposing on friends and family to buy things. Do you have suggestions on selling things in a way that people are only buying because they value the product for the price? So what would you say to someone that is not comfortable making sales, or as a parent, or maybe and because of that, they're uncomfortable having their children make sales?
Well, for example, when you have a business, it doesn't always have to be one-on-one, face-to-face. For example, eBay, that's complete. You don't know who you're selling to. It's just somebody out there. And then they're obviously, if they're buying from you, they're not buying from you because they want to help you out or whatever. They don't know who you are. So if they're buying from you, they're buying from you because they value the product and they want that for themselves, you know? So you just have to kind of think about your sales and think about like the business ideas, I guess. I think that's what we're going to talk about in one of our webinars.
Right. So, well, like what you're saying is the strengths. I mean, that goes back to the strengths.
Exactly.
Because if you don't have that as a strength, you can develop it as a strength. But if you choose not to develop it as a strength, there's still ways to make money online.
Yeah.
Where you don't have to be talking the way we do. Like our family, one of my purposes as a mom, as a homeschooling mom, was to make sure that my children were well spoken, that they communicated well, that they weren't afraid of a camera, because that's just how I am, and I wanted to make sure that I pass that on to them. But there may be parents who are more into writing, so they'll pass on the writing to their kids. And I have to say, copywriters, the people that write copy for websites or for anything that has to do with marketing, there are some really shy people that are great copywriters that never have to see anybody. So just work with your gifts, with whatever you have. Sometimes a product is so good. Like Mia, my daughter Mia, she was like 5 years old, I think. We were at a homeschool convention, and she made paper napkins.
Oh, the paper fans.
Paper fans, yeah. Like she went and got one
out
of
of
those
napkins.
out of napkins from the bathroom, and she made fans out of them, and she walked around with a little tray and sold them for $1. I didn't know this. So she walked around and she sold them for $1, and she was so cute that she sold like $12 worth. And I was embarrassed, but proud at the same time. But with that said, is like you have to also determine, sometimes we don't want our children to have the same fears that we do. So you can encourage your children to do things and to step outside of their comfort zone, and they don't have any fears, so they'll do it if you allow them to do it. Like if you just say, well, just go sell it. Well, Mom, I'm embarrassed. And you kind of step outside of your comfort zone and teach them how to do it, you know, and then they'll take off and like fly without you even noticing. So that's important.
And to add on that really quick, I'd have to say it is agreeable that sometimes doing the things related to business, when it's in fundraisers and stuff like that, sometimes it could be uncomfortable. Like for our garage sales, when we would set up and all that outside of our yard, I'd say I'd be pretty scared in the morning because we live in a neighborhood where everyone speaks Spanish, and then our Spanish isn't 100%.
It is now because they've gone to Ecuador for 3 months and they're much better, but yeah.
Well, back then it wasn't 100%. So we'd be scared to talk to the people sometimes. And then it's just like, how bad do you want it? Like, what is it? It's worth it. Like, to make the money in the end, it's worth it. When you count all that you made, it's like the achievement. It's amazing. It feels awesome.
Yeah, because just let me add on to that real quick. Just because, are you gonna let the fear of talking to somebody in Spanish over the fact that you're gonna make $100? You know, like, okay, you might have to talk to a couple people, and then I'll mess up a couple times, and I'll say the wrong thing. You know, and maybe I'll overcharge the price once or undercharge. You know. So whatever that embarrassment is, the fact that I was always the kind of more embarrassed one sometimes. And then the thing that he would always remind me is, you're never going to see that person again in your life, you know? Like, for that's in the case of garage sales and fundraisers and stuff, you know? You're never going to see that person again. So if you mess up, big deal, you know? You take their money and you're happy, you know? You may have embarrassed yourself, but then we would learn. For example, sometimes we would say the wrong numbers or whatever, but then afterwards they would be like, you know, they would look at you confused and like, what? And then you correct yourself, and the next time you know.
Yeah.
So that's just something.
Sometimes, like, we've been embarrassed, and then people will come back to us later, and this would be in like conventions and stuff, and they would come back to us later, and then they'd actually compliment you. Oh, I thought this was a great idea. I thought this, I thought that. And then they just like boost your confidence. And then even when you thought you messed up, when you thought you didn't do so good, they come back to you, and then they told you that you actually did. So
I want to point out that you're seeing these boys at 15 and 17, and I would be impressed. Like, I honestly would be impressed, because knowing what I know now about business, listening to them talk really surprises me, because I never imagined that they would learn so much from business the way that they have at this young age. But it wasn't always like this. I want to reiterate that, because you're seeing sort of an end product over years of having a family business and encouraging them. It started with having them buy 4 candies at, 4 lollipops at the dollar store, and then encouraging them to sell that to their friends. Like, that's how it started. And then from there, it was like, okay, now they had a little more money. Then they would buy sodas and sell them at a park, like at a game or something. And then from that, they would sell the toys. And, it was just a little bit at a time, to where, as any human being, their mind would grow, it would expand, and they would be more aware of what they could do. And they started testing that, and their confidence grew, so they would go and keep testing and testing and testing, so that they would get to where they are now. But something else that I don't want to go over too much, because I know that, if some teenagers or children are watching this, that I definitely don't want them to get bored. But something else that was really important to me was the fact that when we were, as a family business, they were part of our team. If you do own a business, or even vice versa, if the children are the ones that are going to be starting their business, I always thought it was great to share in each other. Like, I would ask them, well, what do you think today? What do you think of this logo? Do you like this image or this image better? Do you like this tagline? Like, tagline is like McDonald's, I'm loving it. I'm loving it is the tagline that McDonald's uses. So I would ask them what they think, and I would ask for their opinion. And when you do that, you let them know that you value them. I would also teach them about stories, and we would read stories that had to do with work or business. And I would mention just a few from here. Pinocchio talked about laziness. Little Medicine Carrier. These are books that you can find on our online website, Shop LBG, and Lifetime Books and Gifts. There's a link for that in our family, in my website, shirleysolis.com. So Little Medicine Carrier was one. Snip, Snap, Snur, and the Red Shoes is a picture book that taught about work ethics. Aesop's Fables taught a lot of great character traits. The absolute favorite is Where the Red Fern Grows, where the little boy has to work to be able to raise the money to buy his dogs. and then continues to work. And because of the money he makes, the family is able to move to the city. Little Britches, that's also a great book to teach about work ethics. All right, now let's speak on practical terms. What are some businesses that a child between 6 to 8 or 9 years old could do? I'm going to tell you what I have on my list of suggestions. For sure, the good old lemonade stand. If you are, obviously, if you're up north, that will not work in the winter, but it works pretty much year-round here in the south part of the country. But a lemonade stand is great, or you can think of, like we talked about, the honey, baby or pet sitting services. Obviously, baby care is when they're much older. What would happen too is, like, my children weren't necessarily old enough to watch a child by themselves completely, like somebody else's child. But I did have a friend that would drop their child off here, and I knew that they could handle watching that baby, but I was in the area. I don't know if you feel comfortable with that. We did, but that was some other way that they could make money. Selling candy or pop after church or after sports. We did check with the leaders at our church just to make sure that it was going to be okay for them to sell. So if it is, I would check. Do you have any other ideas for small businesses?
I think those are the major ones.
Those are major ones. Okay, somebody is asking me, chores were paid. No, chores at our house.
I said were.
Right. Chores at our house are never paid. Chores are the things like washing the bath, cleaning the bathroom, the floor, vacuuming, mopping, doing laundry. Those are basic things. Doing dishes, mowing the lawn even. Those are basic things that we have to do to keep this house together. It's part of what our family does to work together as one. It's how we learn to relate to one another. It's how we learn to work as a team. We never pay for those. There were extra chores that I would have them do, like maybe if there was a shed that needed to be cleaned, or just extra jobs that I would think of, then I would pay them for those. All right. Okay, so someone said eBay, my son age would be too young to start that kind of a business though. What words would you teach your kids to use in order to sell professionally? Did I teach you words to sell?
What do you mean words?
Yeah, like keywords, like special words, like buy this now or something. I don't know. No, that's actually not, I don't think that's necessary. I think it comes naturally to children, and just say, hey, do you want to buy this? And then, if that doesn't work, they'll come back to you and say, Mom, I told them if they wanted to buy this, and they said no. Well, how did you tell them? Were you smiling? Were you like, would you buy this? That wouldn't work. So just even common sense, like talking to them, asking them, but there was no particular sales pitch that I taught them. I think just naturally, like, man, would you like to buy this? I think adults are really impressed with children with good manners. So that was a lot of how you sold stuff. Okay. Harmony asked, where did you find the marshmallow guns and toys that you had to construct before selling? The marshmallow guns, they found, there's some plans online that you can get. And there's also, he would just Google wholesale toys and find companies that ship here in the United States that he could buy a lot of, maybe 30 for a certain amount, $10, and then he could sell them in addition to that. All right, let's see what else. How did the boys advertise their businesses?
Well, I don't think, because at such a young age when we first started, of course we had the family business, but when I had businesses here at home, it would start really small, like I would buy a package of candy, and I would go and I would tell one of my friends, hey man, I got this, I got candy. You want to buy some candy, man? And then, of course not in that language because I was small, but like, oh, you want to buy candy? And then, oh yeah, let me buy some candy. So then I'm like, it's $1. Go ask your mom for $1. Okay. And then he'd go and then he'd get his mom for $1 and he'd give it to me, And little kids, they talk a lot. So So from there, he'll tell his friend, oh yeah, or people will see him eating candy and, oh, where'd you get that candy? Oh, he sold it to me. Then people start advertising for me, you know? That's like something that I did. I don't know how I learned that. I just kind of learned it myself.
Yeah.
But you know, once you sell something small in person with your friends, then people see, and then, oh, Alexis sold it to me, Alexis sold me. And the next thing I know, when I was out of candy, people would still be coming, asking me, oh, do you still have more? No, man, I'm all out. Sorry, you know?
I think it's consistency too, because once you decided on one business, you had to like continue to do it for a while so people would know that that's the business.
Yeah, so they all know that Alexis is the dude to go to if you want to buy a candy at church or school or something like that, you know?
And then it would also be the same in the conferences, like me with my marshmallow guns and him with his foam swords. You just need to sell one. You just need to sell one, and then there's one kid walking around the whole conference with a foam sword or a marshmallow gun, and he starts shooting marshmallow guns, or he starts playing around with his sword with imaginary people, and then kids ask, oh, cool, where'd you get that? That's so cool. And then tell you, oh, the place over there, the place with a lot of books, and then they'd go over there, and then more kids would want that. So I think that helped.
Yeah, so advertisement is just something at that young age, you can't really advertise it much. It's just something you gotta think about and maybe strategize how you advertise yourself.
You can make flyers when they're a little bit older.
Yeah, that too.
Like for our garage sales, we'd have the signs, of course.
Yeah, like I would drop them off in different corners, or drive them around in different corners so they could put signs. And I have to say, as a mom, there were a few times where it was a little bit inconvenient to teach them certain things, but I looked for my desire for them to learn and grow from their business was greater than my inconvenience. So when I could, I would go out of my way to help them. And for instance, with their eBay businesses, I just came and said, here's some shoes that someone gave me that are super cute. They don't fit. Try to see if you can sell them. So that was the extent of what I could do. Other times, like I said, I would wake up at 6 a.m. to drive them around so they could put the signs for the garage sales. And so I did my part, but I didn't go crazy like if it was my business, because there's a part that as a parent, you have to say, well, you know, I teach them and I do my part, but they have to learn on their own. And I think that's important for the kids too. All right, so medium-sized businesses would be, we had some friends and family friends that would make picnic tables like that. They would your child would have to be about 12 years old. They would make picnic tables. Chicken coops would be something else that, you know, that would be a medium-sized business. I think larger businesses would be, well, actually more medium-sized businesses would be making bows for the hair for the girls, cross-stitching, or making meals in advance, making cookies. Those are girl ideas. I mean, my boys make amazing cookies, so it's not just girls, but what would be other medium-sized businesses that?
Well, I remember there were some of our friends that they would buy baby turkeys, and they would grow the turkeys out until right before Thanksgiving, and then they would butcher them and sell them for Thanksgiving. That's depending on where you live and depending on how you are with like the animal thing. That's something else. That's another idea. Just
I think
turkeys and chickens.
Yeah,
and milking cows if you're out there. And
or even you know, essential oils are super popular now, and you could make soaps for essential oils or pillows that go around your neck for soothing, whatever. So those are all great ideas that could be girl or guy related. Let's see. So questions. Okay. Okay, so someone said, I would like an eBay account and sell completed Lego sets. Would that work? Would that work?
Absolutely.
Yes, that would work. What age would be good for flyers? Flyers, if you want to make the flyers for your child, I mean, 6 years old, make the flyers for your child. I would say that after 10 years old, they should be making the flyers on their own, and then you can help. You can think of a name. That's always fun. Someone said, we sell our extra lemons and oranges. My son earned enough money to buy Lego sets. That is awesome.
That's really good.
Congratulations. That's great. Someone asked, do they carry an accounting, such as a balance? No, we never had them do that accounting. That was not my gifting, so I didn't do that. But I'm sure that they did learn to manage their money. I did go as far as telling them that they could have envelopes that they could put their money in so they could manage their money. The webinar is almost over. Breeding dogs is a great idea. Someone asked, okay, this is the last question and we're going to answer. It's, what are the pros and cons of selling on eBay?
Well, pros would be just, it's pretty easy. You know, you do a couple minutes of work for each item, and then from there, it's just, you post it and then that's it, you're done, you know? But then the cons would definitely be, for my strength was definitely face-to-face. I like talking to the people and convincing them and all that. And so that took away my strength of talking to people. And, you know, when people would be really, really like shocked that this little guy is talking in such an adult way. So that would definitely get people to buy. So that was a con, but there's a lot of pros. You could talk about the pros because.
I think some pros would be, like he said, it takes very little time, and then in our case, we would risk like basically nothing.
That too.
We would risk basically nothing, and then we would make all the money.
What do you mean risk basically nothing? Can you explain?
Well, because when, for example, for marshmallow guns and buying certain things, you have to risk that. You know, you have to buy the product. You have to buy 30 of this item, and if you don't sell those 30, then you lose money. You know. So that's a little bit of a risk, because if you have to sell, for example, if you buy 30 items and you sell each one for $1 and you pay $20 for this, you have to sell at least 20 to make your money back, you know? And if you don't, then you're losing money. So with eBay in comparison, you would sell things that are in the house. So you're losing nothing if it doesn't sell.
Like you already have it there.
Yeah, you already have it there. So if it doesn't sell, you lose nothing. And if it sells, you make $20. Great. You know, so it's definitely a lower risk.
And I think another con would be some people aren't too tech savvy or good with computers.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit of knowledge to know how to set up your account on eBay, how to make your PayPal account, how to link it both together. And
but that wasn't, I mean, you were how old when you did that?
Maybe 14, 15, around there.
So 14 and 15, and he was able to do it. And like I said, to have an eBay account, you definitely need to have an adult set it up for the child first, and then the child can use it. And so a 15-year-old could do it. Like, you'd find that technology today is very easy to get around, and children will do much better than adults, the majority of adults. What would we recommend in the winter with a lemonade stand season? I promise this is the last question.
Snow cones?
Snow cones. Oh, yeah, like those snow cones that are from, no, but remember,
oh, yeah.
The one time it had just finished snowing, we were in Minnesota, and one of our friends said that you guys make like those snow cones that you grab from the actual snow, and obviously it has to be clean, you know, like just when it's falling, I guess, and she made them for us, and they were pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It was like snow cone ice cream.
Yeah,
I don't know what it was.
She put vanilla, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But you could definitely look up recipes and stuff, what you can make with snow for the places that it's snowing. And if it's just cold, hot cocoa.
Maybe,
you know?
like, I would do maybe little jars with specialty hot cocos that they could make for the women. Like, women love that. I think, like, for indulging, like, for, you know, with a fancy girly name. All right. Snow shoveling. There you go.
There you go. That's
there
really
you go.
good.
That's great. Okay. So what we want to tell you is, first of all, we love feedback. We just absolutely love to know what you thought, if you enjoyed it, if you learned a lot. And we also wanted to tell you that Alexis and Nick are actually continuing to grow their business. They are wanting to help other children grow their businesses. So they've come up with a program called the Youngpreneur Program. The Youngpreneur Program is basically going to be 3 weeks of training, where week 1, they're going to talk about how a child can pick the product or service to sell based on their personality, how a child can get more confident, like specific words that maybe they can think of, how to get more sales, like more about how they did it for specific businesses. We're going to teach your children what is marketing? I mean, that big word, what is marketing, and how can you sell, and how can you use it in your business? Like what you were asking, how do you promote? We're going to go a little deeper into that. They're also going to teach your children how to stand out in the competition. Like, there were other children at the convention that were selling marshmallow guns. So what did they do to make their marshmallow guns better and more attractive to the people that were seeing it? How to choose the right price for your product. They're also going to teach your children how to manage the money that comes in, like the whole idea of being responsible and not spending it as soon as they get it, and how to be persistent, because they may not always make the money right away, or they make something and it doesn't sell. They're also going to spend a week, maybe a week and a half, like one lesson and a lesson and a half, maybe two, on selling stuff on eBay. So how to set up the account, how to connect that with PayPal, what can you sell, how to write your post, how to drop ship an item. That's for the more advanced children that are maybe 13, 14 years old and up, 12 if they're really, really sharp. But they're going to spend 3 weeks, one session per week, teaching your children all about business and all that, like just really expanding on what we've done. That course is only going to cost $37. So we've tried to make it so that it's actually like a price that every parent can afford, and it could be like a great Christmas present, or just like great birthday present, an investment on your kids. Like I always knew that I needed to invest in my children, and I needed to make sure that they were educated in these skills. And many times, I've recognized that I can't teach them everything, so I've invested in programs for them. Like we've sent them to leadership camps, etc. So in a smaller scale, this program is definitely going to be one where they're going to be doing the majority of the teaching. I'm going to be there supervising, but they're going to be encouraging your children to their own businesses and teaching them what they know so that they could learn from it. And I mean, if they do half of the stuff that Alexis and Nick are going to teach, your kids are definitely going to be able to get those $37 back from it, from you, and pay you back if you want to do this as a loan, or if you just want to invest it in them. There's also going to be an additional program that we're going to offer on top of that. So they have the $37 program that is going to be 3 weeks starting in January 5th, January 12th, and January 19th, so that you guys can enjoy your holiday season. And after those 3 weeks, there's also going to be the option of you purchasing what they're calling a group coaching program. So on Monday, June 5th, you guys, there will be the live training that they're going to teach the children on how to pick a product, how to determine their strengths, what is marketing, et cetera, et cetera. And then a few days after that, that same week, they're going to have group coaching. And the group coaching, they're going to basically work with no more than 10 children or 10 teams, and they're going to be live on a hangout like this, and they're going to interact on like, what have you done this week? What are some ideas? They like really developing a mastermind. A mastermind in business is basically when a lot of people get together and they interact and they add to each other's ideas. So your child will have that opportunity to interact at their age in business, which is going to be phenomenal. I would recommend that the child that's involved in this is not shy, but has, good character already. And so that you're going to have three of those coaching classes. So it's going to be a class, and then a coaching session, a class, and a coaching session, and a class, and a coaching session. And the basic class is 37, and then the 3 coaching sessions are going to be 97. So 37 plus 97. You can buy the $37 program alone, or you can choose the $37 program and add the group coaching to it for a little bit more than $100, so that they can get the entire experience in the month of January. Now, in the group coaching, they're going to be personally mentored by them. I'm going to be overseeing everything that they're doing. They're going to have accountability, which for you as a parent, you don't have to be worrying about, like, did you do this? We're going to hold them accountable, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then on top of that, they're going to have access to Alexis and to Nick to answer any technical questions and any business or marketing questions that they may have. So they're going to send that email out to you guys, and then your children can interact with them and ask them questions about what they have. So we've made it very, very affordable. $37, you get the 3 classes that they can learn from. The classes will be recorded, and if you have multiple children, that's a great investment. If you want to add a little bit more and have Nikki and Alexis and myself coach them through 3 classes of how you interact and do business, then you can add the $97 program. And you basically just have to click on the sign up today button. That the Youngpreneur program is only $37, and you can click on that and you have the option to buy that. And when do you want to make this available until? Like, we have to close it at some point. So what do you think?
When's Christmas? Christmas is next week?
Christmas is next week.
Christmas?
Christmas.
Or-
But okay, what would you
later
want to
than
encourage them to do, or what do you want to tell them to encourage them to sign up now if they're not sure or whatever?
We can pretty much guarantee that your child will make the $37 back that you're going to be putting into the program. Like, through the 3 courses, we'll teach them to open up their own business and teach them their ideas and their strengths in business. And we'll teach them pretty much our 7 years of business that we've learned in just 3 hours, or 3 1-hour courses. So that's pretty much a once in a lifetime opportunity to get.
Yeah. And then not only just what we've learned in the past, we can help them brainstorm and then come up with new ideas and great ideas.
So
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
what fits them, And I would tell you that our goal as a family is to really add value to your family. I value through the video bloggings that I do, through the content I provide on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. We are super committed as a family. We understand as a family that our goal is to help other families. Like, notice I'm not the only one in, teaching. Like, I brought them in now, and the next year my husband's going to come in. And so little by little, like, you'll begin to see the fusion of our family unit helping your family grow. And this is one more attempt, because I know that using work and helping my children learn these skills have improved their confidence, their speaking skills. I mean, there's no way to fake this out. These kids are real. They're honest with who they are. They're confident. And I strongly believe as a mom that being in business and like encouraging them, as imperfect as I was in those areas, just the little bit that Gus and I did created enough in them for them to want to grow. So, I mean, this is a perfect way. We made it very affordable so that it's a no-brainer for you to want to sign up to this program, get them started. That could be for those people that are homeschooling and home educating. This is a course. The course is going to be in the evening, by the way. So if you go to a public school or private school, you can still enroll. But if you are a homeschooler, this could be a credit for them. I mean, when you're doing their transcript, this could definitely be a business skills or a practical business skills class. And I know that it's going to come in really, really handy. So we're going to give it our all. And we hope that you'll definitely join us, that you'll share with other parents. I mean, what would be really cool is if you tell like your friends and then they join, and then you have like the 2 best friends' kids hanging out and being in the project together. So if nothing else, I mean, I'm excited for them launching this next step of their business in wanting to help others and learning more about business. Because, even for them, this is a growing process. They're going to have to make their own pages, and they're going to have to do the technical aspect of setting this up. And the more they know, the more that they could teach your children as well. And in the future, we just look forward to getting to know you in person if we haven't already, because we are all about building relationships and building family. So I hope that you'll really join us, that you will go sign up for the Youngpreneur program, and that you've enjoyed this, that you share it with other people, that you let us know if you liked it and anything that we could improve. Any other questions?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. If you are watching this video on YouTube, give me just a second, because what I want to do is, give me just a moment. If you are watching this video on YouTube, I need to give you an easier link for you to go sign up. Do you guys want to say anything in closing? Any questions?
No questions, but I just wanted to say that I don't want you guys to miss out on this opportunity, because I absolutely know that all the businesses and everything that I've learned through business has definitely made me into the business person that I am today. And there's this idea that I have for my next big, huge 10-year business plan, that that I'm going to open up my own MMA school. Certain people ask me, like, why, because MMA just so happens to be my passion. And through these things that I've learned through all these years in business, I've wanted to put that into my two passions, business and MMA. So, I definitely know that if I would have never learned these things that we'll be teaching you, I would have never been able to come up with that and to have the confidence to pursue that. So I really encourage you guys to take up this offer of just $37 to not only learn for now, but learn for your future self. I'm sure in your future self, you'll be thanking yourself for just doing this little investment for your future self. Yeah, for your kids.
All right. What I did is I created, if you're watching on YouTube and you didn't have access to that little button that I have, you can go to Shirley Solis, SOLIS.com/kidpreneur. And sorry, I already had used Youngpreneur. So Kidpreneur, KIDPRENEUR. And you are going to be able to access the page that we're talking about, where you can purchase the Youngpreneur program. Let me go make sure when is the first session? The very first session is going to be January 5th, and it's going to be January 5th, January 12th, and January 19th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And let's see if there's any other questions. All right. If you have any other questions, you can feel free to email me at you can email Shirley@ShirleySolis.com. Shirley@ShirleySolis.com. And if you have any questions, the boys have said that they're going to keep this opportunity open until December 24th, so that, but don't wait that long, because you know how it is. They've done a pretty good job. Like, I want to support them. I want to make sure that they get their money's worth and that they do well. I want to encourage them as well. So don't wait that long. Goodness, for that price, like, if you think they've done a good job, I think it's worth the investment. Do you want to close with anything else? You be the last one, and then we say goodbye and stop the broadcast.
I just want to thank you for all your wonderful questions. You had great comments, great inputs, great ideas. So I want to thank you for that, and thank you for your, they say, hands-on.
Being interactive?
For your interaction. Thank you for interaction.
Yeah. And what do you want to tell the kids that are watching?
I just want to encourage you guys, like, keep it up, keep open mind, don't stop with your great ideas.
All right.
Yep, that's it. Thank you so much for coming.
We are the Solis family, and we rock, right? All right, take care.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.